We should do some exercises to make sure we're fully prepared for the anniversary special. Elias, I want you to be an elderly old man whose dinner was a plate of hot fries. Then Steven and I will both be the people that come from the nursing home that want to take you to the nursing home because you need help. And scene.
Sir, you need help. I'm gonna need those hot fries.
Why? They're my dinner.
Because I fucking want them.
Sir, there's no nutrients in hot fries. You can't just keep eating hot fries.
I don't care about nutrients. I just want to eat the fries.
So you're gonna hand those over right now, or so help me.
Hand them over? No.
Mr. Spinkto, please. We are trying to have a civil conversation about how you need to get your life in control.
You just asked if you could have my... You didn't ask if you could have some. You said, give me the plate. Do you want a few?
I want all of them.
A couple?
I effectively need every single hot fry on your plate.
For my dinner.
You are going to die if you subside on hot fry.
You may keep...
Why do you think I've only eaten these?
You may keep the plate. I just want the hot fries.
No. They're still mine. I don't only eat these. I'm just eating...
He's not paying attention.
Okay, start calling the
euthanasia.
Sending the drone.
You send the euthanasia drone.
If you were to look into my cabinet, you would see...
Mission accomplished. We got the hot fries.
Congrats. And scene.
Disclaimer! Crossing the Line is not a show intended to bully or harass anyone. Do not go out of your way to find or mess with the authors featured on our podcast. They make what we do possible, and we love them. And you. Thanks. Enjoy.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Crossing the Line, a fanfiction podcast where we read, review, and critique fanfiction for your listening pleasure.
Ooh.
That sucked.
I think we could salvage the Simpsons one.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, it'll all be salvaged, but I'm not going to be happy about it.
It's such a weird ass, like...
Only salvage the Simpsons, not the first part.
Well, now you said the first part, so now I have to.
Just bleep that out, and that too.
Hi, diddly-o there, neighbors.
Well, gee whiz, everybody. Could you believe that we've been going on for a year at this?
Wow.
Ain't that something special, Steven?
It is.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to believe we committed to this for this long. I feel like we haven't done any real art projects that have lasted this long.
It's true. We've done and failed at a lot of things.
Indeed,
Yeah.
indeed.
So good. Some things take more work than others. This actually hasn't been, like, totally easy. There's still editing involved, and there's still like, keeping track of schedules and that sort of thing. But it's been fun, so it's helped.
Yeah.
Do you remember where we were when we recorded the first episode of this podcast?
I was in my bathroom with the lights off, so the fan wasn't on, so I could hear my audio.
I was laying on the couch, perfectly comfortable.
I was in the Pensacola suppressing the N-word in my mouth so that my neighbors weren't here.
Great.
Yeah, 5 hours away. Now we all live together, so it's easy.
Indeed.
Yeah. Well, speaking of which, we're back with our anniversary episode, so we're gonna do Dragon Ball again.
Ooh. That's right. Dragon Ball was where we got our start because we were all hyped up for the Dragon Ball FighterZ game, which turned out to be very, very good. And now there's the new Dragon Ball Super movie about Broly, and it's very, very good. I saw it last night. It was amazing.
Can you believe we watched all of Dragon Ball Super?
I know, right? My God.
I can't even remember the last show that I watched start to finish that was that long. It's crazy. Besides, like, One Piece. But, that's something.
I wonder if we're getting a new season.
I feel like it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, honestly, I wouldn't doubt it one bit.
I'm just gonna be so appalled if they go and turn the movie into episodes like they did for the other movies.
Oh, like they start the new season with Broly?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness.
That would be so scummy.
I wonder if we're gonna see Jiren anytime soon.
It's hard to say. Who knows how universe traveling works?
Yeah.
I mean, Hit keeps showing up.
Right.
This is the first time we've talked about the thing we're talking about for real on a podcast.
That's true.
We usually always segue into other stupid stuff that doesn't have to do with what we're actually reading.
Like that one episode of The Simpsons where Ned Flanders kidnaps Bart.
Yeah,
That was a pretty good episode, I have to say.
that was real cool.
They got all the original creators back to do it.
When was the last time we watched The Simpsons?
Let's see, when I was
haven't
living
had
with my dad.
cable since May.
We watched it at that, Philly cheesesteak place.
True.
We watched the one intro scene and then left.
Yeah.
Cheesesteaks only last so long.
It's true. But they were some damn good cheesesteaks.
I'll remember to order another one if we see it come on again.
Wait, Simpsons? Waiter, keep them coming, please. I'm gonna be here for a while.
This is your third cheesesteak. Get out of my establishment.
Hey,
Another.
Your third cheesesteak, you jerk.
Steven, question of the day. If you could make a dream rap team with 3 fictional characters, who would they be?
3 fictional characters. Okay, let's see. We got Shrek.
Okay.
Bob from Bob's Burgers.
Wow. Alright, I've had enough. 2's good.
Moving on.
So Dragon Ball. What's everybody's experience with Dragon Balls?
They'd be called the Ogres.
Every year
Bob.
on Christmas Eve, I rewatch the Otherworld tournament.
Did you do it this year too?
We didn't have internet.
True.
Oh yeah.
We had a
It
brief...
broke my heart.
I know, man. We had a brief spit when Comcast refused to come and bring us internet.
When they refused to help us.
My God.
Yeah, when we paid for a plan that didn't exist in our area, so they couldn't actually give it to us, even though we paid for it.
Exactly. Jesus Christ.
But now we're back and stronger than ever. Blue Breed is streaming on Picardo sometimes when he
Indeed.
feels like it.
I was gonna do it today, but I didn't get as far as
Virgil
I
is
Trying to do the website still.
reading manga
Yeah.
and sometimes posting about it.
The thing about posting to WordPress big files, like let's say a podcast audio file, is if your connection isn't fast enough, the file will
forever.
no, the file will time out or corrupt because it'll say it's upload failed.
I see.
And so I uploaded, the website is active. I don't know if I'm gonna release it yet because it's not done, but just finishing uploading those files, they're not going through because it times out on me, and I don't know. I'm just waiting for the internet to either get better or just keep trying or something, but it'll happen. I paid for a domain, so I'm not gonna give up on it. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the thing we've got, the current internet we've got now, should be able to get us what we need. I think it
Yeah,
hasn't
probably.
seemed to have any problems with it.
that's good. I'll give it a shot.
I can still play games on my computer when the Wi-Fi is all the way over there and my room's all the way over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then once we do that, we'll have a hosting site to do Apple Podcast and iTunes. I mean, Spotify.
That's what I'm looking forward to. SoundCloud is just not worth $15 a month.
Yeah, so I guess that's our goal for this year. Another one of our goals is to have more guests, particularly ones that are involved in the community. We have one of our favorite fanfic writers coming on here soon, which would be cool.
Oh yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't want to say it, but if you've seen just about any episode of our show, well, that's not true. We didn't name drop him until
I was about
recently,
to say we
but
censored him.
Yeah, we've
pretty
just been
often.
accidentally running into a lot of his stories, so that's kind of cool.
But yeah, we'll be here to talk about that next time in the next delightful episode.
Oh yeah.
What are you
So-
guys' goals this year for the podcast?
Podcast wise, I think the podcast itself is pretty satisfactory as it is. More editing and stuff, learning new things would be nicer on top of guests and stuff. But for the whole branding itself, we've had some ideas to kind of branch out, bring out some other exciting content.
Oh yeah.
We've got one Blue and I are working on trying to do. a nice little art show where we draw and commentate. So pretty much this, but with visuals, funny visuals, I suppose.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
And it'll be much shorter, so it's easier to digest than a podcast on YouTube, which I totally
Indeed.
understand. Can we call it drawing the line? 'Cause I think that's funny.
Yeah, that's what I was suggesting.
That's fantastic.
I know, man.
Yeah, well, in worst case scenario too, I'm gonna be moving out into some place by the end of April, and then in that place I'm gonna have like a direct Ethernet connection on my internet. So at that time I'll have no excuse not to finish the website.
Yeah.
But we
so
won't.
it'll be good.
We won't be too far, so we'll still be able to like schedule our days to record and stuff.
Yeah, I'm moving like
Hmm.
literally walking distance away, so in BD.
I would also like to eventually finally like purchase an animation program and then start doing some animatics based on the funny bits in the show. Again, a much more digestible version of what you're getting with us, but at the same time still offers something new. Like if you're familiar with the internet at all, you know how people would animate like a Game Grumps or a Let's Play or a other podcast, whatever. So I think that'd be fun to do.
Totally.
Steven, what are your plans for the brand?
The brand really just help out as much as I can, really.
Well, what's your goals for Blue Breed this year?
Goals for Blue Breed: get more comics off the ground. Hope maybe get a website up. I'd like to, but it's one of those things. I gotta find the time to get it all up and running, and between projects and all that crap, that's not a lot of time.
Understandable. If you have any questions, I've now built a couple websites professionally.
Yeah, definitely be like head your way for like advice on WordPress and whatnot, because I think that's gonna be the route I take.
WordPress is kind of cool because it's so diverse. There's a lot of people in the community that are helping each other out and like building tools to make it easier. A lot of good ones are ones like Hummingbird that just basically run through and compress things in the website for you to make it load in faster.
Oh, nice.
Among other things. So yeah.
Okie doke. That's really my goal.
So if you decide to build a website at home, viewers, WordPress is free. There's a lot of good tools. It's a good place to start. Would recommend.
So,
Anyways, Dragon Ball.
Yeah. Long story
Alright.
short, we're not going anywhere. We want to do more, and we need your help to spread the word and keep the good vibes going,
Well,
so more and more
vibes.
people can be infected by our sin.
And do the Humpty Hump.
To the Humpty Hump.
Do the Humpty Hump.
Do the Humpty Hump.
Yeah, if you guys comment or are interested in talking about or to us or anything like that, you know, we're active online generally. A lot of us are online most of the time.
All of our Twitters are in the description down below, including the page itself where we post all of the crossing updates and such.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, what was everybody's experience with Dragon Ball? I know we probably already covered this in the first episode, but since then,
yeah, like finished up Dragon Ball Super, so
yep.
which there may or may not be spoilers in the fan fictions we have chosen,
True.
even though they're crossover fan fictions, so it's probably not. But just so you know,
We also played a lot of Fighters. My
A
PS4
lot.
got bricked, so I lost all of our data. When Fighters was new, I played it obsessively for a long time and started going to tournaments and stuff and got really good. And then I was like ranked up there with my fighter points or whatever, but then I freaking bricked my PS4, so oh well.
it was very rough. If anybody out there's played Digimon World Next Order, I had a 60-hour save file that got deleted and it emotionally crushed my spirit. And if you're one of like the handful of people that have played that, then I'm sure you sympathize.
Oh, I can
Yeah.
imagine.
That's the one we like started a couple times because it seemed so like the skill wall is so blunt in the beginning. It's crazy. But if you tough it out, there's something in there. It's just definitely a lot of work. At that time, I had lived on my own, and so on like once a week we would play that, or George would play that at my house, and it was just like endless hours. It's sad.
Yeah, my goodness. The most infectious overworld theme, my god.
You would like, I'd be in your house by myself and you would come over and I'd be in like the same areas and I'd be like, no, I've actually made a lot of progress, believe it or not.
Alright, guys, I think I'll go first, being as I haven't gone first in a bit.
Woo!
Ooh.
I love not reading first. I'm super dehydrated.
Oh.
All right. It was a typical Texas day at the Hills residence. Peggy was practicing her Spanish while burning some pancakes. Bobby spent the hour
Burning
trying...
some pancakes.
Yeah, you know.
As she
The
does.
Peggy special.
As she does. Yeah, the Peggy's special. She gets just the right amount of char in there.
Hank goes, "Wow, Peggy, these are just right."
Wow,
Black
Peggy,
char.
these are awful. You are gonna get it one of these days.
Well done, pancakes. Come on, Peggy.
We like the medium rare. They're just wet in the middle.
They're batter.
Still
God.
batter.
I like it raw.
He doesn't even flip them.
He doesn't even put it in the pan.
Just eats the batter
Yeah.
on a
Oh
plate.
boy.
We eat it raw.
On a
here,
wet
Peg.
paper plate.
On a wet paper towel.
In his hand.
With a spoon.
So,
Move on.
Bobby spent the hour trying to break dance, and Hank watched his son in horror.
for an hour.
What did I do to deserve this? Asked Hank quietly to himself.
What was that, Dad?
Interrupted Bobby. Oh, nothing, Hank said with reassurance. Bobby gave a half smile to Hank, then said his famous catchphrase.
Okay, Dad.
Bobby quickly zoned out and continued to break dance.
So funny.
Standing there, brain dead, like it's just like static, like whatever you want to call T-pose of an animation cell.
You know Bobby in like season 1 when he was just like no personality
Right, he was just brain dead.
all the time.
Yeah. Okay. Meanwhile, Peggy was placing the final touches to her butchered breakfast for her hillbilly kinfolk. To help further improve her Spanish-speaking skills, she announced that breakfast was ready in the foreign language. Unfortunately, Peggy was mediocre at Spanish, so she said, "Por favor, como mi sopa y libro," translating to "please eat my soup and books." Since neither Hank nor Bobby spoke Spanish, let alone could barely speak English, they had no idea what she said. But the two could smell a potent scent of smoke, which suggested that breakfast was ready. Bobby dashed to the dining room as swift as a jackrabbit.
Goku's gonna be here at some point, by the way.
Hank watches
I guess
Bobby
so.
breakdance for an hour in size, and then the smoke sets off the fire alarm, and they get up and say, "Time for breakfast."
They snap back into reality.
What did I do to deserve this? And Hank followed, slowly behind in a waltzing motion. While the three were seated in the dining room, the doorbell rang throughout the entire house, filling the ears of the Hills. "Whoa!" shouted Hank. "What's that spooky noise?" "I think someone's at the door, Dad," replied Bobby. Hank walked towards the front door while simultaneously covering his ears. Why is he scared of the doorbell?
You're scary.
No one's ever had the audacity to ring his door before.
They know better.
He opened the door handsomely, then proceeded to scream. Chapter 2.
Whoa!
Chapter 2. Whoa! Shouting, "It's a hoodlum!" The stranger stood idle in a position that revealed his swagger. His black spiky hair poked nicely on the top of his head. The bold color of orange on his jumpsuit made him facile to identify.
Facile.
Yeah. The stranger gave a glance at Hank before responding. "What? What do you want, hoodlum?" Hank queried. "Oh, this might be the wrong house. I'm looking for a Dragon Ball so I can bring back Yamcha." "What?" "Oh, you might be confused. My name is Goku. I'm looking for a Dragon Ball and possibly my friend's dead body." "Dragon...
Goku.
Dragon what?" Hank replied with confusion. "If you gather all 7 Dragon Balls together, you get to grant one wish." "One wish, you say?" Hank began to use his imagination to think of all the things he could wish for, but only one thing reoccurred in his mind. He wantonly blurted his wish out of his mouth for Goku to hear. I can have all the spark plugs I want.
Okay.
Goku did not take a liking to Hank's idea. Hey, I'm the one who's looking for the Dragon Balls, so don't get any ideas. Oh, I already did, interrupted Hank. And I'm getting them spark plugs, I'll tell you what. Are we gonna have an issue? Goku says he raised himself.
Are we gonna have an issue?
Sorry, hold on, never mind.
Hank leered at Goku. I believe we are. The two readied themselves in their fighting positions and began to intimidate one another.
Yeah.
With great attitude, Goku sneered at Hank. Let's fight. Chapter 3. Hank strained his posture to show how serious he was about getting his spark plugs. Goku was looking cool without even trying. A vast silence surrounded the neighborhood before it was quickly broken by the first attack. Goku charged at Hank while screaming vehemently at the top of his lungs. Hank yelled in defense, "Face my propane!" Hank pulled out a propane tank from thin air, then shouted, "Whoa!" as he unscrewed the propane valve. The air around them became tainted by the reasonably priced propane, causing Goku to halt in his position and cough. "Oh no! My only weakness that I just developed from the author!" Goku gave a long pause, then squealed, "Propane!"
Of course.
Goku collapsed into the freshly mowed grass. He could not believe a frail little hillbilly such as Hank could defeat him in combat. This was a first for the overpowered Saiyan.
Hank just opened a tank and gassed him.
Yeah.
He would never waste precious fuel.
That's what I was saying.
Goku's weak to gas.
Hank approached Goku's body with a deadly glare. Goku perspirated all over his clothing while locking eyes with Hank, who was hanging over him like a vulture. Goku struggled to speak.
Looming. Blocking the sun.
Who are you? Hank stood quietly for a moment, then spoke. I'm your worst nightmare, I'll tell you what. Goku allowed his final words before he slipped away. You're epic. Hank gave one last reply to the fallen hero.
That was such a weak. You're epic.
He's dying. Hank gave one last reply to the fallen hero. I know. When Hank realized that Goku was dead, he searched through his pockets. In Goku's bag, Hank discovered three of the Dragon Balls, glowing as bright as a star. Hank began licking his lips with excitement. 3 steps closer to getting my spark plugs. After all the immersive action, Hank called Bobby to come outside. When Bobby came outside, Hank gave Bobby a stone-cold look and said, Bobby, you and I are gonna look for them dragon whoosy-whatsits so that I can make my wish. Bobby looked at Hank stupidly, then said, Okay.
This is season 1, Bobby.
It is.
Okay.
The brave hillbillies did their goodbyes to Peggy, then set off on their adventure. Chapter 4.
Like how they didn't eat breakfast. At least Hank didn't.
I like how he started his morning by killing off fucking Goku.
Goku just like got gassed and died and said, "You're epic," and he said, "I know, Bobby, come on."
Bobby, we're
go.
getting those Dragon
I
Balls.
don't like a fucking...
The King of the Hill intro.
Hank just fucking robbed his dead body.
He had no choice. His wish was on the line.
George, do your Goku summoning Shenron and Hank summoning Ladybird.
You mean how he just he just says Lady Bird.
Sky goes
So
dark.
funny.
Giant ladybird superimposed on the screen.
Oh my god.
We've thought about this already.
This is such an old joke. I'm so glad it's still
We
around.
probably said it in the last one.
Yeah, probably.
Probably.
My car.
Thanks for getting the Dragon Ball out of your car.
Hey, Bobby, there's a ball inside this car. Let's just, takes his shirt off and rolls it over his head.
Wow, Dad, you're epic.
I know.
Hank and Bobby rode in Hank's truck to find the remaining Dragon Balls. All they needed was 4 more Dragon Balls in order to make Hank's boring wish. Hank's face showed an expression of greed and enthusiasm, while Bobby's was showing a sign of uninterest.
As it does.
Bobby's like,
Where are we gonna look for these, Dad?
and he's like,
You don't get it. We already have 3. We only need 4 more. We're so close.
It's so easy.
Did you get the radar from Goku?
I think so. Let's see here.
That's important. To
Yeah.
bring Yamcha back to life. Goku died in the process. Now they have to bring Goku back.
At least you can say he died like a more embarrassing death than Yamcha ever did.
Getting gassed.
Yeah, by some hillbilly in Texas. Hank's face showed an expression of greed and... okay. Boy, I tell you what. I can't wait to get my spark plugs, stated Hank as he was driving. Bobby shook his head slowly in sheer boredom of Hank's sentence. Suddenly, in the distance, an abundance of light caught Bobby's eye. Dad, pull over. I see something shiny, blurted Bobby.
He would be attracted to bright lights.
Yeah, that fucking rat. Hank gave a quick chuckle. Bobby, you fool. That's a Dragon Ball. Let's go get it. Hank pulled over towards the direction of the luminescent light. As the two stepped out of the truck, they realized they did not just find 1 Dragon Ball, they found 2 of them.
oh no.
Whoa.
Hank began to sing like a shrew when he saw the 2 Dragon Balls. It's glorious! Cried Hank. Bob gave an unenthusiastic look at Hank.
Do not call him Bob! That is cursed.
This is terrible.
Do you think Bulma's gonna show up and threaten Hank with her panties to get his balls?
I think those 2 lights are going to be 2 car headlights and they're going to get hit by a car.
He's gonna push Bobby in his way.
He's like dancing in the street, praising, and he just gets mowed down by Bulma.
We'll see.
Bobby gave an unenthusiastic look at Hank.
Can we go home, Dad?
I need to soak my feet.
They've been driving since this morning.
Hank gave Bobby a stern look and said, "No." Once Hank finished tossing the Dragon Balls into the bed of his truck,
Oh, they were actually Dragon
They
Balls,
just
alright.
in the bed of his truck, just rattling around.
So the other ones are. Making noise. They're bang, bang, bang,
Everyone's
bang.
gonna emerge out of his truck.
How heavy do you think Dragon Balls are?
I'd say like 5 pounds each, maybe? Something.
Yeah,
It depends on if they're hollow or if they're solid.
I always thought they were solid.
Same.
With how like unbreakable they seem to be.
That was like one of the things I liked about Dragon. That was like the one thing I liked from Dragon Ball Evolution was how they did Dragon Balls, like how they're glass spheres with fire inside.
But they still have weight to them.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Look
Yeah,
at their
they'd
glossy
have to be
button.
solid because they turn to stone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I'd say they're like solid. So I'd say
Yeah, they're made of stone. Kami
Right.
just imbues them with magic.
right.
Kami just pees on them.
Yes. Do Namekians have a PP?
Do
Can they
Namekians,
excrete? They're mostly water as it is.
if Namekians eat asparagus, does their pee smell?
Do they look?
I don't think Namekians eat.
Do their heads look the way they do because they eat too much asparagus?
Yes, moving on.
All right.
It's really a bummer when Piccolo turns from a demon into a slug.
True. Once Hank finished tossing the Dragon Balls into the bed of his truck, the 2 hillbillies went on their way to find the remaining 2 Dragon Balls. As Hank was buckling up, he smirked aggressively and said to himself, 5 down, 2 to go. Before Bobby could ask what Hank was whispering about, Hank had floored the gas pedal.
All the Dragon Balls fly to the back and hit the back of the truck really hard.
Chapter 5. The truck gradually accelerated to the point that Bobby could hardly breathe. With whatever breath Bobby had left, he asked,
Dad, could you please slow down?
Hank did not listen nor care what Bobby was saying. All he could
The
think,
G-force in this truck right now is
Why is he-
absurd.
Why'd he take him along? He's just ignoring him.
He needs a wingman.
Hank's truck is 100 times gravity.
He needs a Cyberman shield. Shoves him in the way.
All Hank could think about were those beautiful spark plugs. The truck was only going faster thanks to Hank and his spastic leg. With a sharp rush of blood and an overflow of dopamine, Hank felt alive for the first time in his life. Bobby, on the other hand, had never felt more terrified of his own father. Pictures of flashing colors and blurred lines were the only things visible for the crazed lunatic and the small pig boy. The speed increased further down the road until the truck's alignment fell out of place. The truck veered a hard right and crashed into a nearby tree. Bobby faced minor scratches and bruises, but Hank suffered with his liver pierced by a jagged piece of glass.
Whoa! Got into an accident. It just happened.
That's the man who beat Goku.
I'm glad the consequences of speeding still apply in this fanfiction.
Liver's impaled.
Michael, that's the man who beat Goku.
Got beat by his own truck.
He got horny for power. Started speeding.
Whoa! Screeched Hank.
Yeah, well, he shouldn't have spit, idiot.
Bobby took immediate action by rushing towards Hank to provide physical aid. When Bobby tried to help his grumpy father, Hank resisted. "Don't touch me, boy," shouted Hank.
I was gonna say, so that's why he brought him along, and then never mind. He's just like, no.
He doesn't want anything to do with him.
Don't touch me, boy, shouted Hank. You ain't right. Bobby was given the cold shoulder by his own kin, which discouraged the plump little boy. Even with a holed liver, Hank's determination managed to shine through. He ordered Bobby to begin searching within the region for any possible Dragon Ball sightings.
Bobby, I will wait here with my liver impaled. Go find the
God,
ball.
go look for Dragon Balls or something out there. I don't care. Get out of my way.
It's gonna be like that episode where Bobby runs away when they're trying to get a new truck.
True. Bobby yielded to Hank's command by beginning the search. Hank waited 5 hours before Bobby returned from his exploration. In Bobby's hands were 2 leaves and half a paperclip. Hank realized he had raised a failure.
Jesus Christ.
It's one of those times where I'm like, where did we find this fan fiction? What are we doing?
This poor man waited 5 hours with a piece of glass in his fucking liver.
He comes back with leaves.
2 leaves.
Holding
and
them up like Jesus.
half a paperclip.
I get the impression it's like the middle of the night now because they saw those Dragon Balls as like lights at night.
Right.
They've been driving since this morning all night, and now Hank is dying in a car accident, and Bobby left him for 5 hours, then came back with leaves and a paperclip.
Oh my god. Hank realized he had raised a failure. "Bobby, you loser," Hank began. You have failed me yet again."
You loser.
You failed me yet again.
Jesus Christ.
This story has moments that really sneak up on you, I don't mind saying.
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect from this one.
Yeah. Bobby lowered his head in shame while he headed towards the mangled truck, waiting for Hank.
Waiting for him? He's freaking impaled
He's
still.
on the ground.
Waiting for him to get over it.
You'll heal, Dad. Have a sensu bean.
I hate beans. When Hank finished bandaging his punctured liver, he started repairing the truck.
He waited 5 hours to fix himself.
While Hank was working, he spotted something illuminating underneath the distorted vehicle. As Hank crawled underneath to investigate, he discovered what knocked the truck out of alignment. It was a Dragon Ball. The ball stuck snugly between the front axis and front right wheel.
They had one the whole time.
They ran into
That's why
3.
Goku showed up at his
They ran
door.
into 3 just on the road.
I can't believe they actually made that tie together. I'm surprised.
Oh yeah, it was just under his...
Yeah, Goku is looking for it. Okay, interesting.
I don't think that's what happened in the story, but it
it's
did
a-
work out that way.
I think he ran
It's-
over, like when you ran over a can on your bicycle to get
Yeah.
the cool motorcycle sound.
True, it is probably a coincidence, but
Except they
even
impaled him
so,
instead.
yeah,
But
Weird.
we'll give the author that one.
yeah. Hank let out a girly scream of excitement. Woo! When he yelled When he yanked the Dragon Ball out of the new formed crevice, the alignment improved slightly. Hank pried open the crushed truck door, sat in the front seat, and turned the key into the ignition, all the while completely ignoring Bobby and his disturbing antics.
He's not doing anything.
Before Bobby could gather his both meager and dull thoughts, Hank had already slammed his foot on the gas pedal. Hank's people...
Did he leave
Back
him?
to flooring it, huh, Hank?
Is he
back
in the
to-
truck? Did he leave him? What happened?
They're in the truck, he's just
Okay.
like quiet.
Hank gets in the car seat next to him and sighs, and then slams his foot on the gas as hard as he can again, so they can go back to going 150 and a 60.
He slams it all the way to 150, then immediately brakes, so Bobby slams his head against the dashboard.
Bobby gets a dent in his head.
And that's when Hank realized he had raised a grapefruit-headed bastard.
Should have wore your seatbelt, son.
Should've wore your
I
helmet.
didn't raise no grapefruit head. Get back in your seat.
Mush that skull back into place.
Bobby just like plugs his nose and breathes really hard and it pops out.
Ew. Regret. Hank had already slammed his foot on the gas pedal. Hank's pupils had disappeared into his eyes, resulting in Hank's face to become a silent gaze. His
Right.
excitement had turned into insanity.
Yep.
Chapter 6.
Just like Pilaf.
Yep. Hank had driven for 9 hours non-stop, looking vigorously for the last Dragon Ball.
Uh-huh.
Bobby would...
Doesn't need gas.
Cool.
No.
Good mileage.
Bobby would continually pester him by asking him if he could use the bathroom, but Hank declined every time. In such a time of desperation, Bobby formed an idea in his head.
I like that Hank also hasn't had to go to the bathroom.
He's
Right?
fueled by adrenaline. His body can't make waste right now.
He's pissing his pants. He has a hole.
He needs every bit of energy focused on driving.
He has a hole in his liver. It just filters into his stomach. Bobby used Hank's love of propane to his advantage. Hey, Dad. Bobby started.
Hank says, I've heard enough. We're driving.
He's so weak.
Yeah. It's been 9
He
hours.
walked for 5 hours earlier. And then he's
Where did he go?
He just walked around in eyesight.
He went to the arcade and came back with what he found on the ground.
He was still in eyesight from Hank, just walking around,
God damn.
picking up leaves, throwing them around, rolling on the floor with a stoic face.
Hey, Dad, Bobby started. I think I left the propane tank's valve open at home again.
At home? You're 9 hours away!
What? Asked Hank with a sharp, raspy voice. What? Mimicking the sound of a tongueless raccoon.
Yes, Steven, be a tongueless raccoon.
What? He made an immediate sharp U-turn and floored the gas pedal.
He's already been flooring it for 9 hours.
Hank now had a new mission to tighten the propane valve so they could save money.
I hate how he frickin' always drives by flooring the gas pedal.
It has to. There's propane on the line.
It's a propane emergency. Bobby grew a large grin on his face with the satisfaction of his plan being a success. After 2 days and 4 hours of driving, the two hillbillies finally made it home. Bobby hopped out of the truck and rushed to the bathroom as Hank was examining his precious gas valve. As Bobby was relieving himself, Hank walked around for a bit, waiting for him. Suddenly, a loud roar of potent wind blew across Hank's middle-aged face.
Oh no.
Hank looked to see where the conspicuous wind came from. As Hank was looking in one direction, something cold was tapping the back of his left shoulder. Hank turned his head 180 degrees to see who it was. His head. The figure had armor that puffed his chest with a complementing color of shaded violet. His flesh lightly tinted with purple haze. The flesh was tightly coated on his arms. His arms which elongate to flex and intimidate those who foolishly chosen to get in his way. On top of his head piked out two long ebony horns that configured a sign of evil.
Yeah.
Yes, it was Lord Frieza himself.
What? Oh, he's second form?
I guess so, yeah. Let's see here. Alright, chapter 7.
It was Lord Frieza himself, as if he knows who that is.
Hank knows.
Think he's been waiting for him at his house this whole time?
Think Frieza wants the Dragon Balls?
Yeah.
Hank leered closely at the ridiculous character. He asked instructively, "Who are you?" "Who am I?" questioned Frieza. "Who are you?" "I'm Hank Hill."
You're in my house!
"I'm Hank Hill," Hank began. "I sell propane and propane accessories. Now tell me, who are you?" Frieza chuckled to himself. "If you must know, I am Lord Frieza, destroyer of Namek and hunter of Dragon Balls."
Yep.
Hank let out a hillbilly gasp. "You're here to take my Dragon Balls, ain't you?" "That's right," Frieza exclaimed. "All 7 of them." Hank paused for a moment. "Wait, 7? I only have 6. "Liar!" interrupted Frieza. "I know for a fact you have 7, thanks to my Dragon Radar." Frieza kindly showed Hank his Dragon Radar,
Kindly.
proving that the 7th Dragon Ball was in his presence.
That's the tie around.
There we go.
That's why Goku was here.
I feel. "Here!" explained Frieza.
Bobby ate it.
"Oh, no. You have 6 of them in the bed of your radical truck, and 1 in the hedges over there." Pointing directly at the final missing dragon. "Why did he bother coming to the door?"
I like how Hank drove 2.5 days away when it was at his house.
He doesn't have a radar.
Goku told him.
He didn't know. He
You're
thought
right.
he was just going door to door.
Hank let out a violent "What?" then turned his face towards his trimmed bushes quickly. Frieza's Dragon Radar was uncanny. There lay the final Dragon Ball. Its beauty could not be compared to the other Dragon Balls. The bright sphere of light shined as bright as daylight. Hank walked towards it slowly. He stretched forth his sweaty hand respectfully to grab hold of the ball, but was rudely interrupted by a spontaneous slap of his wrist. Before Hank's attractive hand could grasp the Dragon Ball, Frieza slapped his hand away. Hank cracked his neck to look at Frieza and his arrogant moxie.
And cocked his eye.
Frieza closed his eyes and began a silent sentence. If you want this Dragon Ball, you will have to fight me for it. Chapter 8, I mean. Hank deeply inhaled, then exhaled as he closed his eyes. He nodded fervently, accepting Frieza's duel for the last Dragon Ball. Frieza gave Hank a devilish grin that startled the poor hillbilly for a moment before he could regain his stamina. I see you're a man of true strength. So, I guess I shouldn't go easy on you, quoth Frieza. I will no longer tarry any of my precious time. I'll finish you with my final form. Hank had no reply to the intimidating creature. A simple gaze into the atmosphere was the only thing Hank was capable of doing at that point. You think this is a joke? Questioned Frieza. I'll show you real power. Before any time was given to process what was happening, Frieza began his transformation. Frieza's bones were both deforming and crunching to form his magnificent structure of anatomy. Screams of agony impaled Frieza's vocal cords during the disturbing process. Hank watched in horror at Frieza's suffering. An occasional twitch caught Hank's left eye from the mortifying sight he witnessed. When the transformation completed, Frieza let out a wild shriek. What's the matter, Earthling? Are you scared?
Hank's gonna gas him again.
My one weakness.
Out of panic, Hank threw up in the bed of his pickup truck. He was beyond intimidated by the ferocious weirdo. Hank had to figure out a way to defeat Frieza.
Gas him, gas him.
Chapter 9. Frieza stomped violently towards Hank in an energetic rage to eradicate the hillbilly quickly. Hank, however, backed away from the smelly monster while thinking of a way to defeat him. Each step toward Hank urged Frieza to breathe heavily with excitement. Saliva drained from the beast's mouth like a flowing stream. Both Hank's mental and physical states were in severe condition. The adrenaline in his hillbilly brain forced him to think on the spot. He acted on his first instinct. He hopped into his truck to run Frieza over.
Bobby's gonna hit him with a folding chair.
This instinct. Oh my god. This instinct Hank made surprised Frieza. He never imagined that Hank was foolish enough to use his car to run him over. Hank vigorously cranked the truck engine as fast as he could while Frieza watched in awe. The truck revved and roared loudly as a crashing wave.
He's like cranking it like, come on, come on.
Come on, come on, come on. Frieza was intimidated as he stood down for a bit. Hank noted Frieza's fear and took advantage of it. Hank drove fiercely towards the monster's body. Frieza collapsed to the ground, dazed after being hit with a 3,000-pound hunk of metal.
Just ran him down.
You must fight me, Lord Frieza.
Hank stepped out of the truck, staring at the now vulnerable body. He approached the distorted body as he lit a match, only to throw it in the engine of the truck.
What?
Frieza mumbled to Hank, "You're the real monster."
You sound like Roger from American Dad.
You're the real monster.
Yeah, that's Frieza.
I've seen edits with him drawn like Frieza and I hate it.
That's disgusting.
Disgusting, it's true.
To which Hank replied, "I'm just doing what I can." As soon as
Blow up his house.
As soon as the two fighters locked eyes with each other, the truck exploded violently on Hank's treasured lawn.
Hank ran him over and then with his car on top of him blew up the car.
killing Frieza and severely injuring Hank.
Hank is freaking crazy in this story.
He did all
his mind.
He did all this movement with a punctured liver. My God.
He fixed it.
You're right. You're right. Chapter 10. Final chapter. The fire from the remains of the truck dispersed rapidly onto the front lawn of Hill's residence.
Oh.
Frieza's corpse was cooked medium rare. Oh, what a sight to see! The mighty Lord Frieza with his flesh burnt to a crisp. Hank on
Just said medium rare.
Hank, on the other hand, barely had enough time to crawl to the front doorstep before the flames could engulf him. He reached towards his left side for the water sprinkler valve to release fresh water onto the scorched grass.
I have no sympathy for Hank.
He did this to himself.
He didn't have to blow his car up.
He didn't have to kill Goku. He didn't have to fucking do anything. The water slowly...
He wants spark plugs.
The water slowly silenced the flames in repetitive intervals until it completely diminished.
Why would you need like more than one pair of spark plugs?
It's like Hank wants this unlimited power for himself for such a petty reason.
Bulma wanted a boyfriend.
True.
I mean, even that's like a person that you can love. It's not like a
Right.
spark plug
Ooh,
for.
I wish for underpants.
That's what I was.
Yeah, that's pretty bad too. Hey, he's trying to get his nut.
There we go.
Hank just wants spark plugs.
Long nut in those underpants.
It's canon. What else would he need him for?
Use them as a sleeve.
After all the madness concluded, Hank called for Bobby to come outside.
I thought you said Bobbity.
Bobby.
Majin Bobby.
Oh, God. Bobby fumbled out the front door pathetically towards his mangled father.
Hank's narrating, I see.
Dad, cried Bobby. Why are you all torn up? Never mind that, boy, interrupted Hank. Just get them dragon doohickeys together so I can make my wish before I die.
Does he not understand the ramifications of the situation he is in?
Before I die, I just need to see those spark plugs.
I just need to see that pile unending.
It'll be free spark
We'll
plugs,
save
Bobby.
so much money, Bobby.
Bobby
Okay, Dad.
Okay, Dad.
Yeah, I don't think this is a very good idea. You could kiss Bobby. I got it. I just want those spark plugs. He dies.
Lady Bird.
Bobby shed a tear of sadness. Okay, Dad. He picked up every Dragon Ball from the bed of the truck and the one that sat idle in the bushes. After Bobby collected them all,
He
Hank...
just gave up on the sprinkler tactic.
Yeah. Hank instructed thoroughly to him to align them in order. The Dragon Balls were placed symmetrically in the order designated to them. The balls began to glow brighter every moment of the passing time. Clouds of ash filled with lightning swarmed around the cul-de-sac, engulfing the midday sun. A loud roar of thunder arose before a long, slender dragon with scales as sharp as iron. His teeth curved proportionally across his mouth to indicate a face of intimidation. His eyes appeared red as blood, with hair follicles swaying along his well-structured face. The dragon's scales moved subtly as he spoke. Who has awoken me from my slumber? I did, sparrowed Bobby.
It's like all the way down. I did. What?
Like,
Speak up.
I can't hear you.
What is your wish, you pathetic mess?
He's like, what? And Bobby's like, what?
Hank used whatever ounce of strength he had left to call to Bobby. Remember, Bobby. Remember my wish. Bobby turned around with confidence and a smirk. Don't worry, Dad. I've got this. Hank looked straight forward. Bobby looked straight forward at the spooky dragon. He had to make his father proud with this one wish. I wish for an ice cream, blurted Bobby. Your wish is granted, the mighty dragon answered. Hank intruded with a shriek. No! A large waffle cone filled with strawberry ice cream materialized suddenly in Bobby's little hands. Bobby could not
No! No, 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 no!
Bobby just smiles and walks inside.
Bobby could not contain his excitement. All right. Bobby,
He's excited.
Bobby skipped and jumped with happiness. However, just before Bobby could obtain a taste of the flavor of the artificially made goodness, he tripped over a single blade of grass, resulting in the ice cream to fall on the ground. A single blade of grass.
Hey, Hank should have mowed the lawn better. He missed the blade.
It's on the burning grass.
Bobby fell as well. The powerful dragon watched this event unfold right in front of him. As he saw how lame the chubby little boy was, he gradually disappeared into the sky with discomfort. Hank's chance to own infinite spark plugs became nothing more than a mere creative desire. All effort was lost with that lone wish. A wish made by Hank's own son. He knew that this was his only opportunity to obtain his dream. Along with
buy a lot of them.
He wants to save money.
Along with this came the acceptance of death. This was his last chance to see his only son. And with his dying breath, he said his final words. That boy ain't right. The end.
Hooray!
Hooray!
Wow.
What a ride.
A whole story.
I know, right? And this is from like March of 2018.
Good.
No, it was Oh my god.
What?
Oh, okay, yeah, never mind. I thought it said like January 17th, 2019. I was about to say.
Wow.
But no, March 31st, 2018.
Was that like when it was last updated?
Yeah.
Wow, you got in just in time.
Oh yeah, my god.
Like, today.
Yeah.
It updated today?
Huh?
You
No, last update 2018. March 31st, 2018. It's 2019.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah.
Then what's... Oh, it was originally published exactly a year ago.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Still, though.
Yeah, exactly. My god. I'm glad we're finding ones that are like modern.
Mm-hmm. Ones that came out like after the original recording.
Yeah. My goodness.
I would rate that story a 2 leaves and a half a paperclip out of 10.
That's pretty good. I'd rate that story 1 Dragon Ball stuck inside Hank's truck axis.
Axel.
Axle, I guess. How does that...
Yeah, actually. I rate it 1 lone blade of grass that ruined the entire ending.
That killed Hank's will to live.
The acceptance of death.
Props to that guy. He wrote a fun story.
He actually
did.
finished his story. It's so rare.
Yeah, oh my god. And I like how he did it because he wrote it so that each like chapter was like a few paragraphs. It wasn't like a super long chapter.
Yeah, you never see chapters like that. Usually it's like 1 or 2 or maybe 3 and they're all super long or like unnecessarily short.
Right. I like that a lot. It made it a lot easier to digest.
Yeah.
Good on that guy.
Indeed, indeed.
Do you want to go next or should I?
I will.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, Dad.
Alright.
Okay. Chapter 1. Prince Vegeta stared at the readout on his personal pod as it hurtled through space. 3 hours till planetfall. He punched a button on one side to signal one of the other pods flying nearby.
Reddits, wake up, you baka! 3 hours until planetfall. With that lout nappa.
Ugh.
Yes, Prince
It's
Vegeta.
3 hours away.
Christ.
You could sleep for a little longer. There's gonna be sitting in the pod anyway.
Yeah, what the fuck?
The connection was severed, and Vegeta thought back to the beginning of this escapade. Flashback. He is alive, my prince, I'm sure of it. I felt my sibling bond with him. It hasn't diminished in the least. Reddit seemed frantic to the prince.
How can you be so sure that he will be of any use to us? He was classified at 3rd class.
Prince Vegeta sneered at the young man before him.
I know, sire, but lately I felt something through the bond. I'm not sure what it is, though. The brat's talking nonsense, sir. Sibling bonds have never been reliable in the past.
Nappa stated. That was in the Nappa voice.
Please, Prince Vegeta, he's my brother. Plus, there will be 4 of us if he joins.
They're
Raditz
all the
pleaded.
same voice.
No, they're not. I'll try harder. That was
I
Raditz.
liked your Oh, that was Reddit's okay.
I liked your now. Oh, that was Raditz.
Yeah.
Well, they don't specify who it is until the end of the sentence.
Elias, I'm sorry, I
You have to
tried.
read like a playwright.
I will think on it. If I do decide, will you be able to locate him through the bond? Yes, sire, I will know I will. I can feel his direction even now. It's vague at present, but I'm positive I'll be able to localize his location once we get closer to him. Very well, I'll let you know my decision in the morning. End flashback. They left 4 days later, following Raditz's sense of direction towards his long-lost brother, Kakarot. On Tatooine, Karo peered over the dune watching the scene take place with his master and his friend. His master told him to stay put until he knew it was safe and called for him. After the Sand People ran off at the sound of the
Who?
kayak...
Kara?
Karo.
Karo?
K-A-R-O.
Who's that?
I don't
I
know.
thought you said Carl for a minute.
Listen, Star Wars has a lot of characters, it's probably not important.
Oh,
After the
no.
Sand People ran off at the sound of a Cryat dragon, his master made he spotted the figure of his friend lying on the ground a few feet away from the speeder the Sand People were stripping. Meanwhile, Luke and Obi-Wan have just finished their conversation about R2 and Ben being Obi-Wan. What? Oh.
Luke and Obi-Wan finished their conversation of R2 and C-3PO being Obi-Wan.
I don't. He almost ran to help, but his master held him back, telling him to stay. A few moments later, and his master gestured him to join them, he ran out and practically crashed into his friend. Luke, I'm so glad you're okay. Luke Skywalker fell backwards as his young friend barreled into him, knocking the two of them back into the sand. I'm fine, Cairo. Just fine. So, to give you a little bit, it seems like Karo is with his master, who I don't know who that is. So let's assume Karo's an OC.
Right.
This OC is with his master, and they're like watching these Sand People steal a speeder or something.
Yeah, they're watching him take it apart.
Yeah, and then Karo leaves his master to go head down the hill, and he hits Luke, and they're like, oh, hey, each other. Just then, they heard the sound of the Sand People, and Ben spoke up. So Obi-Wan is the master of both these
Ben.
characters, I think.
Big Ben Kenobi.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
BD Ben.
Sand People are easily startled, but will return in great numbers. That's Ben. They moved to go, and the astro droid chirped, and Luke gasped, 3PO! That's let's just say Luke sounds like that. After they retrieved the protocol droid, they sped back to their hut. Okay. It doesn't say who's talking, so I just have to guess.
It's fine.
Kara says, my father didn't fight in the Clone Wars. He was a navigator on a spice freighter. That's what your uncle told you. He didn't hold with your father's ideals. Should have stayed here, not gotten involved. Karo tried to remain quiet throughout their discussion, but couldn't stop the mumbled prick at Luke's uncle's stupidity. Ben shot the boy a stern look, and Karo flushed. You fought in the Clone Wars? Luke asked his master. Yes, I was once a Jedi Knight, same as your father. I wish I'd known him. Karo grimaced at that remark. You don't really want to know him now, Luke. Ben turned to Luke. He was the best star pilot in the galaxy, and a cunning warrior. Ben shoved the painful memory aside. I understand you've become quite a good pilot yourself. He was a good friend. Luke smiled at the old man. Ben got thoughtful and stood up. Which reminds me, I have something for you. He went to a chest, opening it. Your father wanted you to have this when you were old enough, but your uncle wouldn't allow it. Feared you'd follow old Obi-Wan on some damned fool idealistic crusade like your father did. Karo perked up as Ben pulled out his old Padawan's lightsaber, holding it. So Karo's just like sitting in on the plot of Star Wars, this OC.
Right? That's so funny.
As they do.
Meanwhile, Vegeta's going
they're like
somewhere.
speeding towards this planet, maybe. And they're going to Goku.
I swear if Karo is Goku.
Is Goku? Yeah,
so
that's what I
mad.
think's going on.
Yeah.
Karo perked up as Ben pulled out his old Padawan's lightsaber, holding it out to Luke. Luke stood up to join his mentor. What is it? It's your father's lightsaber. This is the weapon of a Jedi Knight. Not as clumsy or random as a blaster. An elegant weapon for a more civilized age. Luke ignited the saber and swung it experimentally. Jeez, Luke, careful.
Damn.
If you're in a place.
Experimental fucking twirls like a baton.
Karo stared at his friend. He seemed right in wielding this weapon. Karo glanced at Master Kenobi. He wished he had something that elegant, but remembered a discussion he had with the old man a few years back. Flashback. Why can't I use Anakin's lightsaber? Don't you trust me with it? Karo complained at his master.
Stop stomping into the table.
Sorry. Karo, you do not need a weapon. You have the power in yourself. I've sensed it, and I have discussed this with my masters. Now continue with your meditation. And flashback. So I guess Karo doesn't need a weapon because he's so powerful.
Cool. I love when OCs do that.
OCs are just the greatest.
It's Force Unleashed.
You
It's
are too
okay.
powerful. We cannot have Anakin's lightsaber.
For over 1,000
Oh, no.
years, the Jedi Knights were the guardians of peace and justice in the Old Republic before the Dark Times, before the Empire. Luke shut down the saber and turned to the old Jedi. How did my father die? Karo groaned under his breath, and Ben shot him a shushing look. Is Karo just omniscient? Is he like just like a character who knows the entire plot of the movies in advance?
Clearly.
Karo groaned under his breath, and Ben shot him a shushing look, and he clamped his teeth shut. Great. Master Kenobi's gonna come up with some whacked up story. Ben cringed inwardly at his innocent question. A young Jedi named Darth Vader, who was a pupil of mine until he turned to evil, helped the Empire hunt down and destroy Jedi Knights. He betrayed and murdered your father. Karo rolled his eyes in exasperation, and hopefully Luke didn't see him.
He's
Now-
so bored of him asking about his dad.
Jesus Christ.
Now the Jedi are all but extinct. Vader was seduced by the dark side of the Force. The Force? Ben gave a small chuckle and smiled. The Force is what gives the Jedi his power. It's an energy field created by all living things. It surrounds us and penetrates us. It binds the galaxy together. Karo smiled at his friend's naivety. He really didn't like Luke's uncle for not letting the boy learn about his legacy as a Jedi. Just then, the astro droid began twittering and they all turned to him. Ben stood and patted the droid. Now let's see if we can't find out what you are, my little friend, and where you come from. Just then, the droid's projector produced a blue image of a woman in a white robe. Ben nearly fell off into his chair as the image appeared, as she very closely resembled the deceased Padme. I saw part of the message. I seem to have found it. General Kenobi, years ago you served my father in the Clone Wars. Now he begs... Do I have to read this?
Yes.
I will.
Yeah, you have to.
You have to read the script of Star Wars plus Karo.
Read it as
Now
though
he-
Karo is.
As if Karo is for doing this voice for...
Yeah.
No.
Do you think
Now
Karo
he
has
begins.
lavish colors in his outfit that makes him pop from the sandy background?
So he looks like a OC.
It's like
I'm
a big,
sure.
like, blue, sky blue stripe.
Ew, I hate
Now he
that.
begs you to help him in his struggle against the Empire. I regret that I am unable to present my father's request to you in person. My ship has fallen under attack, and I'm afraid my mission to bring you to Alderaan has failed. I've placed information vital to the survival of the rebellion into the memory systems of this R2 unit. My father will know how to retrieve them. You must see this droid safely delivered to him on Alderaan. This is our most desperate hour. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope. Ben leaned back in his chair. Finger pulling back. He's like, oh, jeez.
Oh, jeez, I'm in one of these kind of stories.
That's a lot to take in.
His Jedi voice. Fingers pulling hair in his graying beard. Karo peered at his master thoughtfully. A trip off-world? Karo had never been off-world. Heck, he'd never been any further than Mos Eisley. So Karo is from this area, but he's also like Ben's student. But Ben isn't from this area. So has he been hanging out here teaching Karo?
Apparently.
And also telling him the plot of Star Wars?
Yes.
Okay.
He doesn't need to. He
You
already
must
knows.
learn the way of the Force if you're going to come with me to Alderaan. Karo jerked up his head. What? Luke gets to come?
Alderaan? I'm not going to Alderaan. I've got to get home. It's late. I'm in for it as it is.
Oh my god. I'm in for as it is.
I need your help, Luke. She needs your help. I'm getting too old for this sort of thing.
Master, I can't go with you.
Karo spoke up. Ben turned to him with a glare. He said,
Master, I can go with you.
Karo spoke up. Ben turned to him with a glare. You're too young, Karo. Karo bowed his head
He's
regretfully.
been training for years.
What the fuck?
How
Supposedly.
long has he known Karo?
Isn't Luke kind of young?
Luke's like a teenager.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Luke knows how to shoot those womp rats or whatever.
Yeah.
I can't get involved. I've got work to do. It's not that I like the Empire. I hate it. But there's nothing I can do about it right now. It's such a long way from here. Oh, that's Luke.
I can't get involved. I got work to do. It's not like I like the Empire. I hate it, but there's nothing I can do about it right now. It's such a long way from here.
That's your uncle talking. Luke gave an exasperated sigh.
My uncle... How am I ever going to explain this?
Learn about the Force, Luke. I can take you as far as Anchorhead. You can get a transport to Mos Eisley or wherever you're going. You must do what you feel is right, of course. Wherever you're going, he says.
This is so baffling.
Yeah, my goodness.
Vegeta's on his way. Stop skipping forward.
I'm not actually, yeah, that's it.
What?
That's I'm
just-
mad.
Can you swipe to the right?
Yeah, so, hold on. It's formatted weird. There's like a forethought that's after about, I'll read it, but twins, this is prologue, a boy named Kakarot, and the prologue is after that part. Twin sunset, leaving the world in darkness. The heat of the day still permeates the sand. A lone cloaked figure turns from his position from watching the sunset. It's been 3 years since that awful day, the day I lost two of the most important people in my life. The man sighed and returned to his hut on the outskirts of the waste. Settling himself into the small cot, he began to drift off to sleep. He was suddenly awoken by a loud crash and then hitting the earth. Scrambling to his feet, he pulled his robe off and headed towards the sound. Put his robe on, not off. Hoping not to find a wrecked speeder or a crashed ship, he fell over a crater and slammed into something solid. Blinking sand and grit out of his eyes, he became aware of what he was leaning against. It appeared to be some kind of escape pod. Getting to his feet, he walked around to the other side of the looking for an opening. As he rounded the pod, he noticed a glass cover slightly clouded over. Reaching out to wipe the sand from the surface, the pod began to hiss and air jetted out. The glass portion popped out, and suddenly his ears were assaulted by the loudest racket in the universe. He peered over the edge of the doorway and spotted the source of the noise. A baby, bawling its eyes out. His eyes opened wide in alarm. Where did it come from? How did it get here? Gently, he reached inside to pull the child out, cradling the infant in his arms. He felt something small and furry wrap around his arm, and he looked down to see a tail. Odd, so the child wasn't human. It didn't look like any other species he'd ever seen before. Gently, he probed the child's mind and memories, hoping to find some information. Images assaulted him. I guess he can read his mind.
What?
Images assaulted him. Faces in places he'd never seen. So many more of beings with tails.
Goku is Karo.
Along with others, name fills his mind, saying, Kakarot, well, little one.
Oh,
I guess your name is Kakarot. What am I going to do with you? Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi tucked the boy under his arm, levitated the small pod, and headed back to his home. Life had just gotten
stuck
interesting.
His baby face in his armpit.
Oh my god.
So, yeah, the story ended with Karo not being able to go on the adventure, but Karo was also Goku.
That makes me. Oh
That's
my
why
god.
he's more powerful than.
That was, like, formatted horribly.
I can imagine. My goodness.
I do have to say though, like now that I think about it, the plot to Star Wars does include them like Luke saying like, "No, I gotta go work on the fields," and then the Empire burns his house down, and his parents are big funny skeletons.
Don't worry, I've got a better one.
That was so draining though.
Big funny skeleton.
Okay, what if I tell you the name of this one is? You have to blur this out.
Go for
How
it.
long is it?
Go for it.
It's 7,000 words, but
Read a chapter.
but
I have made a spasm.
let me just begin.
Stop!
Vegeta finally touched down in the parking lot of Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria.
That wasn't what I expected.
Touch
I
death.
thought this was gonna be TMNT.
His blue aura dissipating once his feet hit the asphalt. The Saiyan Prince looked down at the wristwatch Bulma gave him. It was 11:30 p.m. He growled in frustration. If it wasn't for him getting lost multiple times, he would have arrived here in less than 5 minutes. This better not affect my job, he thought bitterly as he began walking towards the the building.
I'm getting bad mojo.
As Vegeta passed through the doorway, leading into the establishment, he was instantly halted by a mustachioed man roughly about his height, perhaps an inch or two shorter. "Hello!" he greeted enthusiastically. "You must be...
Hello.
You must be the one who applied for the security job earlier today." Vegeta nodded his head in a professional manner. "Yes, I am. Are you the manager?" The man smiled widened. "You betcha. The name's Anthony." He introduced while holding out his hand towards the Saiyan Prince.
Vegeta's wife is the richest woman on the planet. He doesn't need to work security.
He's gotta make ends meet. He's gotta get some bills.
Capsule Corp is going under, George. Recession is going.
It is not.
People finally realized the dog wasn't a good president.
Vegeta, noticing his manager's sudden gesture, firmly grasped Anthony's hand and shook. "Vegeta," he simply replied. "Well, Vegeta, it's a pleasure meeting you, and I just noticed," Anthony chuckled a bit. "That's quite the get-up you got there," he amused. Vegeta looked down at himself, seeing that he was wearing his Saiyan armor and spandex. The Saiyan Prince scratched the back of his head in a very Goku-like manner. "Well, you see..." "Don't you worry about it," Anthony interrupted. "If you want to dress up like that, who am I to stop you? Come on, let me show you your office." Then he's going to say, "I have a uniform for you." Nope. Vegeta silently breathed a sigh of relief, thankfully that his choice of fashion didn't cost him his job. Not to mention those Earth suits were very stiff and uncomfortable. Anthony led the Saiyan Prince of all Saiyans through a slightly narrow hallway. Children's drawings and very odd stains decorated the walls. Looking upwards, Vegeta noticed multiple wires dangling from the ceiling, as well as a couple of rats scampering behind the damaged ceiling tiles. He grunted in disgust. Raising his gloved index finger, the Saiyan's Prince fired a small key blast at one of the rats. Unfortunately, he missed, creating a small hole that showcased the night sky. Thankfully, it didn't seem as if his boss noticed his assault on the rodents. Vegeta let out a quick sigh as he pinched the bridge of his nose.
Too bad this place has security cameras all over
I
it.
cannot imagine Vegeta
Good thing Vegeta's in charge of security.
You can delete the footage.
You shouldn't risk exposing his otherworld abilities. "This'll be your office," Anthony exclaimed, motioning the Saiyan Prince through an open entryway. Vegeta walked towards his workstation. Immediately, the Prince of all Saiyans noticed another opening parallel to the one he was standing in, as well as two large windows embedded next to each other. It reminded Vegeta of a toll booth. Aside from that, the Saiyan Prince was unimpressed by the overall office.
The toll booths he takes. He flies. He flew here.
The toll booth he worked at before he came here.
He got fired for taking too many quarters.
It was a small, cramped room that was about as run down as the hallway behind him, if not more. It was dimly lit with a single light bulb dangling from the ceiling. The desk to his left had trash scattered all over it, and the various security monitors placed throughout had cracks in their screens, rendering them useless. "This place is a dump," the Saiyan warrior observed. Anthony chuckled a bit. "Yeah, we get that a lot," turning his head downwards.
This place is a dump!
Turning his head downwards, Vegeta noticed two buttons embedded next to the entryway. One button was labeled door and the other one was labeled light. Bending his knees, the Saiyan Prince leaned towards the buttons, using his index finger. Vegeta lightly pushed the door button, only for his foot to get nearly crushed by an 8-foot-tall steel door.
What the hell?
Looking behind him, the Saiyan Prince eyed 2 very similar buttons near the other doorway on the opposite side of the room. Each one had the same label. Vegeta pressed the button again. The door retracted. He stood up straight, his back fully erect. The Saiyan Prince then turned his head towards his boss.
Are these doors really necessary?
He questioned. Anthony let out a nervous laugh. Our employee safety is top priority. Don't want a burglar getting to you, am I right? Vegeta wasn't buying it.
Oh my god.
Something else happened under their noses, something dangerous, but it shouldn't matter. He is a highly trained Super Saiyan. He should be able to handle whatever obstacles get in his way, no sweat. Bending once again, the Saiyan Prince gently pushed the light button. He immediately squinted his eyes as a very bright flashlight activated. He quickly pressed the button again, the light dissipated. Vegeta mumbled something incoherent before turning his attention to a very worn-out office chair that was placed near the back wall. Many rips and tears in the leather were visible. The Saiyan Prince gritted his teeth. How can anyone possibly work under these horrendous conditions? Maybe he should have ignored Trunks' protests and instead taken a job as a fitness instructor. A slight tap on the left shoulder snapped Vegeta out of his thoughts.
What?
Trunks is like, "Come on, Dad, get a job at the pizzeria. It'll be fun. It'll be funny." Alright.
It'll be funny.
All right. For you, my son. I will get you the pizza.
Vegeta stood up and snatched the tablet with a grunt.
Gun.
"What's this?" he asked while inspecting the gadget. "This is called a security tablet. It's what you'll use to watch over the establishment. It allows full access to the video cameras that are scattered through the building," Anthony explained. "It's about time the Earthling's mouth spewed out something useful," Vegeta mentally scoffed. The Saiyan Prince turned his head back towards the chair behind him. A loose piece of black leather fell out of the tiled floor. Dang it, keys from work. I was like, I just got a text that said that, and I was like, sorry. The Saiyan Prince turned his head back towards the chair behind him. A loose piece of black leather fell onto the tiled floor.
I can't believe out of all the jobs in that damn newspaper I picked this trash pit. I might as well be working in the slums of Frieza Planet 372.
A high-pitched beeping brought Vegeta back to reality. He looked down at his wristwatch. It was 11:54 p.m.
Look at the time.
Your shift... Look at the time. Your shift begins in about 5 minutes, the Freddy Fazbear manager noted. He was also staring at a wristwatch similar to Vegeta's. Better close up shop, he exclaimed rather hastily. However, before Anthony left the office, he turned his head towards the Prince of All Saiyans. "Oh, and before I forget," Anthony said, his voice taking on a more serious tone, "due to budget cuts, the buildings run on limited emergency power during your shift, so be sure to conserve. Don't close those doors on turn-on flashlights unless absolutely necessary." "You're telling me this now?" Vegeta exclaimed, clearly annoyed. Anthony once again looked down at his wristwatch. Though it was subtle, his eyes slightly widened in fear. "Listen, I really have to go. Good luck on your first night. I'll see you in the morning." And with that, the Freddy Fazbear manager quickly ran to the entrance of the establishment. He took one last look behind him before opening the glass doors that led outside. After passing through the door, Anthony dug through his pants pockets and pulled out a set of keys. He inserted the longest one into the lock and twisted, leaving Vegeta all alone in Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Or was the Saiyan Prince really alone? I have to admit, the last sentence was kind of cheesy, but I don't really care. I don't mind a little cheesy on my eggs. That was the author's note.
Oh my god. The author sounds like a cool guy.
I don't mind a little cheesy on my eggs either.
I think that's enough of this story. It's many thousands of words.
God.
Hope you all enjoyed your short time with Vegeta Pizzeria.
I give that a Little Caesar's pizza with 3 pieces of pepperoni on it.
It's 3 pizzas. That's 3 slices of pepperoni per pizza guarantee.
I give that a rating of Vegeta deleting the voicemail that he's gonna get on how to play the game.
He said, "I won't need this."
Jeez, you're gonna final flash the entire establishment.
I rated Vegeta getting no training, just getting an iPad and the boss leaving.
This is your iPad. Have fun.
Oh, your shift starts in a minute. Here you go.
That was too wild.
That's interesting.
Alright, with that out of the way, just one more for ye wonderful fans enjoying the splendiferous show tonight.
Oh boy.
Ooh.
Okay, and this one starts out with a short little author's note. I hope this makes sense. Never heard of Weekly Tube Show 2? Go on YouTube and watch any video. In fact, take this one. And they left a YouTube link. If you've never seen this side of Piccolo, this won't make a lick of sense. Takes place during 3D because I honestly don't like... Oh, that's gonna spoil it. Hold on. Never mind. Okay. Here we go. Wow, that spiked the audio. That was cool. Here we go. Sora's eyes snapped open as he awoke. After blinking a few times, he looked around to take in his surroundings. The area was wide, and all he could see was the sky and some sort of palace. After a few more looks, he could see similar buildings on higher poles? Just where was he? A voice said behind him. Sora turned around and jumped. He wasn't sure if it was a Heartless or a Dream Eater he was facing, but it was quite unnerving. Summoning his Keyblade, he took a defensive stance. "Oh my," the black being said. "How did you get up here without me noticing?" You talk? What, are you? Sora said as he relaxed his stance. Whatever it was, it didn't attack, but he still held his Keyblade. Me? I'm a genie. A genie? Sora placed his hand under his chin as he thought back to another certain genie he knew. He certainly had the odd skin color down. Maybe they just looked different depending on the world. Well, I'm Sora, and, where are we? You mean you don't know? I dropped in after falling asleep. Well... What the hell is all this noise out here? Sora turned and had to blink a few times to comprehend what he was seeing. It was a green man with an extremely large head wearing white robes. He looked very similar to those typical aliens people read about in books or saw on TV. Was he on one of those types of planets? It would certainly explain the strange architecture. The green man hummed as he looked Sora up and down. You got them Nabisco points, boy?
What?
The Nabisco points. I can tell from your spiky ass head you done come up to here to train, but you gotta have them Nabisco points. So, I don't have any points, sorry. And I didn't come here to train. Sora looked from the black man into the green. Just where was he? And why were these people so strange? Look, I just want to know where I am. If I'm on your property, I'm sorry. I can't really tell you how I got here either. The green man gave Sora a long look before making a grumbling sound and speaking again. Alright then, little boy. You on my lookout. On Earth. Nah, if you ain't got no business here, then get the hell off it. A bit put off by the man's unfriendliness, Sora nodded and then took a look around. Alright then. Thanks, I'll just go.
Nabisco points.
With a quick jog, Sora made his way to one of the edges. Wherever this Earth was, he was sure that he could find someone nicer to give him answers. Since he didn't exactly see stairs or anything, he assumed that this lookout couldn't be too high up until he looked down. The clouds below the platform were thin, and he could barely see what he assumed to be the surface.
Do you think Sora would take fall damage if he fell from Tommy's lookout?
Maybe. I hope.
Just wait till 3 comes out, man. We'll get to see it.
Whoa! Sora yelped as he fell back and scooted away from the edge. True, he had fallen far heights, but that was insane. Hey! Sora called out as he ran back to the pair. Just how far are we? I can't get down from here. Then how the hell you get up here? The green man asked, irritation clear in his already grumpy voice. I said I couldn't tell you, Sora said, much louder than he intended. Mr. Popo? Yes, Kami? get this little... Whatever the green man was about to say was suddenly cut off by the loud sound and what Sora assumed to be a man shouting. God damn it, the man, apparently calmly, muttered as soon as he heard it. Sora searched the skies for the source. A beam of light was making its way toward them, and it was rapidly approaching. Dang-a-lang, 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 the voice repeated. Sora stared on until his source dropped right in front of him. Run, 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 as fast as you can. You can't catch me. I'm the Dang-a-lang man.
Oh, what?
I don't know.
I'm mad. The Dang-a-lang man?
It was another green man, something Sora was beginning to believe to be the natural color of whatever they were. Damn it, Piccolo! I thought I told you ass to get the hell off my lookout. Why you back here?
Oh, he's
Kami
here
yelled.
too.
Piccolo the Dang-a-lang man?
I suppose he is. Which means I have to keep up with the voice.
Oh dear.
I came back here to apologize. For real this time. The smirk on his face told any observer otherwise. It faded, however, as soon as he set his eyes on Sora. The fuck is this? Some little ass boy who need to get the hell off my lookout. You too, Piccolo. Hold up, Piccolo began. The hell is you wearing? Me? Sora looked down at his clothes. They hadn't morphed into anything aside from their original change. My normal clothes, Piccolo burst into a fit of laughter, leaving Sora into an even larger world of confusion. Is something funny? Is something funny? The man mimicked his poor accuracy.
Sora's just getting bullied by all these green men.
The hell? Little boy, why you come out looking like that? Damn, you look stupid as hell. Ain't even got no retarded ass normal clothes. Looking like... He paused to laugh some more.
That's so fucking... What?
Looking like your mama took all your baby shit and put it together. He breathed. The hell is up with all them straps? You know, some kinky shit or something? Sora blushed in anger and embarrassment.
Look like you took all his baby shit.
Hey, stop talking about me. It's very unfriendly. Piccolo blinked and fell to his knees, laughing all the way. Kami's cane shook as he began snickering as well.
Some world star shit right here.
Boy, you gotta be on some kind of crack wherever the hell you came from. Sora glared at both green men. This was part of the test he really wished he could figure out what to do.
Sora's gonna call him green man.
Beating them with his summoned Keyblade was a thought, but they hadn't attacked, so they weren't hostile.
He's gonna call him the hard. He's gonna invent and use the hard G.
You call him greenos.
That's their word, Elias.
Okay. Them clothes are stupid, and your hair look more dumb than Goku's. I can get over that, but why the hell you got that big ass key? What, you think you can unlock some doors? You stole somebody's key to the city, trying to compensate for your tiny dang-a-lang? No, it's the Keyblade, and for your information, it's my weapon, and that's gross!
Sora is just getting flustered as these two roast. No, it's my Keyblade!
This did not remedy the situation in the slightest. Apparently unable to laugh any harder, Piccolo wheezed and placed a hand to his forehead. Oh man, I must be dreaming. You can't be real. Mr. Popo, this boy real? The black man tilted his eyes to the side and blinked. Oh, never mind, you weird. Finally fed up, Sora scowled. He never scowled, and then again he never met such mean people in his entire life, and many of the villains he met were pretty mean. Might be darned, he would just try to make do with one of his Dream Eaters. He had never tried to jump from such a distance, but any place was better than this. In a sparkling flash, his Dream Eater, who he named Peggy, swooped in and landed by his side. The Pegasus neighed and nuzzled his cheeks. You people are very rude, and I don't want to put up with it anymore. I'm getting out of here, and hopefully the other people here aren't as mean. Sora mounted the horse and galloped away off the ledge, and made a steady but hasty descent to the ground below.
Sora killed himself to avoid being bullied by Piccolo.
A few seconds of stunned silence filled the thin air as the three men looked at the spot the abnormal strange was last seen.
I looked down, I was like, oh, he jumped? Jesus Christ!
That Waffle jumped off the damn tower. What's the matter with him?
Piccolo was the first to break it. Yo, was that just a fucking unicorn? And
That was great. Oh,
then there's
my
a
God.
last author's note. Typo Mania! After reading this over, I noticed just how many spell checks suck, so I'm revising all my newer stuff for typos and republishing the story. Sorry if you think something has a new chapter and whatnot, but I think FF fixed that. Also, I might redo this with Riku and put an M rating on it. I just don't want to have anything rated M because it scares people away, and our people usually click for smut or something.
If you just implied that fanfiction.net would update their site in any way, alright. Good luck.
Oh my God, I give that 5 out of 5 world stars. That's so fucking. That's something I'd write. Just he shows up to the lookout and they roast.
Oh, Piccolo shows up and Kami's like, get off my lookout, fool! And Piccolo's like,
shows up and says, "Dangalang, dangalang, dangalang, I am the dangalang man."
and then he gets bored and starts making fun of Sora, and Sora gets so mad that he jumps off the cliff.
And that's it.
That's so good. Oh my
That was
God.
great. It's just all the freaking the Namekians gaslighting Sora until he kills himself.
He did not kill himself. He got a Pegasus.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh, you got your big old key. What you gonna do with that?
I rate that one
Compensating for
Piccolo.
your dangalang.
I rate that one Piccolo sweaty slap to his forehead. He's laughing so hard.
Slaps on the back of his fucking head knowing you won't do shit.
The Nabisco points. I rate that story 1,000 Nabisco points.
Do you guys ever use Nabisco.com?
No.
Nope.
As I was saying earlier in this podcast, I've done all the internet things. Back in 2000s, there was like a Nabisco website with Flash games, and then like based on what like games you played in their site, you got points, and then you could like make a home hub, kind of like Little Big Planet, or like your character profile had like a home hub where you could like decorate it with like furniture and stuff you bought with Nabisco points.
Right.
It's kind of cool. Anyways, they're the Namekian accepting Nabisco points is very funny. That's what I'm trying to say.
You know, I actually did something similar, but it was with Post.
Oh, that's what I'm thinking of.
Post, because they had like the honey. You could play all the Flintstone like bowling games
Right,
and
yeah.
stuff.
It was Post, but that was that not Nabisco points? Is
I-
Post cereal Nabisco? That's
let's-
different.
I can check. I don't know.
Well, Nabisco had Flash games on their website too, but they weren't the Post point system. That was
Right.
Post had its like point system thing. Nabisco is just Flash games. I don't think they had like a user based thing.
Right.
Okay, well that's stupid then. I don't know what Post points are or Nabisco points are, but Post points were a thing.
I'm sure Nabisco points were a thing too.
I played a lot of Nabisco mini golf.
Let's see. Yeah, Nabisco's parent is Kraft, so I'm saying no.
Dang. I have a
Nope.
200 word one. It actually sounds funny.
We're 2 hours.
It's 200 words.
It's okay.
It's called One Night with Mr. Popo.
Oh hell yeah!
It's like not even a paragraph long.
Let's go.
Mr. Popo walks into the Freddy's Pizzeria as he got accepted for the job as a night guard. Ah, fresh meat, Freddy said in a demonic... fresh meat, Freddy said in a demonic voice as he looks towards Mr. Popo, and Mr. Popo turns his head slowly towards Freddy. Hi, Mr. Popo said as he looks at Freddy with his soulless eyes. I will kill you now, Freddy said in a demonic voice. No, Mr. Popo replied. Pardon? Freddy asked in a demonic voice.
No.
Prepare to be assimilated, Mr. Popo replied.
What? Freddy asked in a demonic voice as he was being enveloped by darkness.
No, get off me!
Freddy yelled like a little girl. The only thing that could be heard was Mr. Popo's laughter, only to awaken because it was all a dream. Man, I gotta stop killing so late, Freddy said as he was holding his head. Oh, say, Mr. Popo said as Freddy screams and finds himself in just a dark void, never to be seen again. The end. That's it. I rate that one Mr. Popo's void. I can't stop. That's not really an effect. I can't just say one thing from the... I rate it an infinite darkness within Mr. Popo's void.
I rate
The
that.
infinite darkness.
I rate that the exact rating of Five Nights at Freddy's, but only the first 5 minutes it was live on Steam.
I rate that 200 words.
Okay.
Woo!
Somebody else on the podcast. I'm too tired. Do the outro.
Okay, I'll read another story.
Stop!
Well, thank you guys for listening to the episode 1 of Season 2. Or episode whatever, Dragon Ball. Again, it was our first episode where we went back to something, and it was kind of fun. There's hundreds and thousands of stories of many of these things, and it'll be fun to go back once in a while.
Oh yeah.
If any of you guys are really interested in us reading a story you like, or if you have any suggestions on what we should do next, give us a call. Call us on our real phones. My cell phone number is... Just kidding. Have a great night. Thanks for listening. Dragon Ball Forever.
Wait, let's see. I am gonna give them my actual phone number.
And that's when you put in the phone number from the Stanley Scammer commercial in post.
Let's see here. Call me on my phone number at let's see here.
You'll look up your own phone number?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I'm giving you my phone number.
I'll read the story Saiyans in Minecraft. Dad, are you loading the game with the skin I gave you on? Trunks asked. Using his microphone and Skype, which held Goten, Gohan himself, Goku, and Vegeta.